In this episode of the Crazy Careers podcast, we meet Mr. Surinder Bhagat, founder and CEO of Gigin AI, the platform revolutionizing job access for India's informal workforce. From AI powered job matching to upskilling and community support, discover how Gigin AI is changing the game for millions across the country. Hello, I welcome you to the Crazy Careers podcast. Thank you so much for joining us in today.
It's indeed a pleasure to be with you here today. Thank you for having me.
So, before we begin the actual conversation, would you mind letting us know a bit about yourself, your journey so far, and also the work that you do?
Sure. So my name is Surinder. As you know, I have been into industry for over 2 decades now. Primarily, general management and human resource, and off late, business leadership has been my area of exposure. I have worked at senior leadership positions in companies like Flipkart, Western Digital. I have been into both at an India level as well as at Asia level roles. I also have done my BTech in computer science, MBA in human resource. Apart from that, I have around 17 LinkedIn certification. I also did my most few more programs. One for Columbia Business School, executive management program, and very recently I completed some similar course called Lead from Stanford University. That's a bit about me. I'm looking forward to this discussion.
Right. So, as we all know, that the workforce, people working in informal sector workforce, I mean, the workforce who are working in the informal sector are actually large chunks compared to the formal sector. But why don't we talk about them? Why don't we talk about the people working in the informal sector more and more?
Yeah, I think that's the question which actually motivated me so much to do something that I quit my, so-called nice paying jobs to have answer to this. We can talk a lot about it, but what's happening is it's an invisible workforce. It's a known term that this workforce actually makes our life worth living, but despite of that, there are less than around 5% of overall digital resources available for this. Whereas just in India, if I have to give you some numbers, our working population is close to around 500 million, some plus minus here and there, and 90% is the informal workforce. Whereas almost like if you look at 90% of the resources, they are available for the white collar, which is less than 10%. So we don't talk about it because I think nobody has focused on this workforce, and I think that's what we are trying to change.
Right. Yes, I mean, what made you want to create a platform and that to an AI platform for these people working in the informal sector?
Yeah, so internally we call it in talent in the informal work or informal sector, and what we realized is that not only we are making the the life worth living for the informal workforce, but we also see a huge business possibility. We what we have been trying to do is that we have actually spent a lot of time with the people who actually are part of the informal workforce and people who actually employ them. There's a huge amount of concern specifically related to the trust, the speed, and the volume, and these three are things which are very very characteristics for this population. The informal workforce has gone through a lot of exploitation, a lot of things in which people try to get the job through the middleman, and they ask for 500 rupees, 200 rupees, take the money and go. So they don't trust the middleman or any of the site, because there's a natural tendency that, okay, will you ask for the money? In fact, when we started, a lot of people who were downloading our app, they were asking, will you ask for a registration money? Whereas if you go to LinkedIn, if you go to Naukri, nobody asks for registration money.
Everywhere, yeah.
Exactly. Now you flip the side. If you look at the employers, right, there also the trust, thing is very very deep, where people look for in the verification apart from just hiring, right? So if you are hiring from wherever, you also want to verify the talent, and that is where we started to see the possibility that we can make a difference. So we KYE, or know your employer, for the employers, and we also have a complete solution which provides all type of verification for the talent. So making it very easy for both the employer and employees to connect in a very trusted manner, right? So this is one, right. So that's a thought which when we started to go deeper into understanding this thing, we realized that the existing platforms are not capable to solve for it, because nobody has looked at trust as a layer, which is very, very important and critical. And if you look at the solution we have developed, the AI actually solves for trust, speed, all the other things that we talked about.
Right, right. When we think about people working in the informal sector, we basically think to give a service to them which is offline and not online. So I mean, how did that thought came to your mind that these people will be actually using this AI platform? Or maybe if you can give us an example, like people working in certain sector, informal sector, it may be specific in specific area, and how they are utilizing this platform and getting benefited.
Yeah,
So that will be more clear to our audience, I
yeah, yeah. No,
guess.
it's a great question actually, and I'll tell you how the use of AI is happening. I'll start with an example, so that things are a little clearer. You go to Netflix, right, and you watch few movies. After some point in time, Netflix will become exactly like your friend, because Netflix will know now what kind of recommendations to give you, right? Now, there's a use of technology which works in the back end for that. What we have done over the time is that we actually have been studying what are the things that characterizes the workforce both on the employer and employee side, and started to learn that deeply and started to solve for it. Now, if you look at maybe white collar people who are onto various platforms, they have profiles, they have resumes, and basis those all the keywords, you can do the matching. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not sure, where were you born and where are you working right now. Apologies for that, but I was born in the northern side of Punjab. I studied in, later, Chandigarh and various other places. I worked in Delhi, and now I'm here, right? So basically, the white collar workforce is quite mobile. I'm not an exception. Everybody, keeps moving. A lot of my friends, who had this kind of journey, now they're outside of the country as well. However, if you look at the informal workforce, they actually need the jobs around their area. It will be very difficult for them to move around if they are from Delhi to come to. It's changing, by the way. It's changing fast, but the cost of the change, is very high compared to because if you are moving and if your salary is 25,000 rupees, and if you have to pay 10,000 of rent, and then take care of your two houses, it becomes difficult, right? Now, if you look at this and try to see how we have solved this using technology, you don't need to go around, go and search for the jobs. Let's say if you're in Bangalore, our app is hyper local. It will give you hyper local recommendation. You
Okay.
and if you look at the previous example, if you don't have keywords, it just like Netflix, it gives a
Yeah.
custom recommendations. Let's say if I'm a hospital nurse, right, or if I'm a delivery boy or this thing, I will get the same recommendation that my profile is for. The other big thing that happens is that you understand things more if they are in your regional language. So let's say if I've posted a job which is in English, whereas my profile is in Hindi, how will I make that connection? So we have tried to basically make use of all of these small things which matter a lot for informal workforce, and the make their life easy, not only to connect to the job profile, but also to do the matching, and also towards the fulfillment part, which we can cover later if the time permits. Now, if you look at
Yeah.
on the employer side, I know even the employer maturity is slightly lesser.
Mhm.
If you have to write a JD, people would say, okay, what JD? People are not familiar with writing the JD, right? So
Right.
what we have done is we have some kind of AI based things, which you just do a little bit of keywords. If you write, let's say you write driver Bangalore Kormangla, that's it, right? And 18,000 rupees or 20,000 rupees, you write this much, the JD will be developed automatically, because we have a AI to assist you on that one, right? These are very specific needs that you need, for the informal workforce. But the for making this connection, basically the connection seamless and the discovery
Yeah.
seamless, they go a long way to solve the problems both for the employer and employee. And hence the AI use is very critical. There are more use cases that we have on the verification side, but that go slightly technical, because what we are trying to get to is getting agentic AI to solve for verification at a speed which is much better than in the past, accuracy which is much better in the past, right? So what actually happens with all of this is that you're not making the user to go through a lot of
Mhm.
stuff to learn about the application, but you use the technology to solve all the issues so that the platform is very easy for the user to use. Am I making sense here?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Hmm.
So when I talk about the business competitiveness, obviously Gigin AI is having a fantastic competitiveness, that is you guys are working in the informal sector.
Yeah.
So when we talk about job apps, like you name it, you have it. There are ample of like job apps available. So what exactly Gigin AI is doing so that people in the informal sector can look for Gigin AI? I mean, it becomes like available to them.
Yeah.
So how do they do that?
So there are a few things which I covered, and I will now go a little sharper on those things, right?
Okay.
The trust is a very important part of this ecosystem. And when I'm saying trust,
Um,
if you start to think about the job sites that, like you said, right?
mhm.
Can you name a single job site which actually can give you verified workforce? Hardly there is,
Right.
right? Because the verification, I think LinkedIn of late has is doing the check of identity. However, if you look at, you're employing somebody who would be managing your cash, you're employing somebody who would be driving your vehicle, which is expensive one. And you also want to make sure that from the employer side, how do you ensure that you provide a safety to that, right? This is very unique feature. If you Even if you go to ChatGPT, for example, and search for how many platforms are there, which have
Yeah.
been able to bring the verification and the jobs in one platform, there are hardly any, right? So there are companies which are very good in verification, there are companies which are very good in job, but this ecosystem has a need of verified workforce, which is where we come in. And this has not been solved for in a holistic way. So in a different term, right, the most of the other platforms, they have solved for the first mile problem, which is discovery. You can
Yeah.
post the job and you can look for the resume, but the informal workforce doesn't look for that. They look for the last mile. It's like this, right? If you're going to for on a food delivery app, it will just show you that you can go and buy the food from there. But that
Mm.
doesn't help you. You want the food to be delivered to you in a verified way. You want to trust the food, etc., etc., right? This is where we come in. We provide the talent. We provide the talent which is verified. And we also make sure that we have our solution, in which if you're doing volume hiring, you completely get that from that end to end service. So we are more like an end to end solution, or
Yeah.
like last mile solution included, rather than just a solution which is solving for the discovery.
Right. True. So, let's take an example like a 19-year-old student is confused about his or her career, and he or she just wants to try on different careers and see like what exactly suits her because she or he doesn't have a formal education.
Hmm.
So, how technology or AI can help them, or how? I mean, is there any services for these kind of confused students also in Geek in AI?
So it's a great question, by the way, and we are working with some of the clients, who have certain things. So there are certain things in which you are looking for unskilled workforce. Then there's a semi-skilled workforce, and then there's a skilled workforce, right?
Okay.
And if you are actually highly educated, for example, you're a space scientist, you're AI engineer, you know that where you will be working, right? But in a semi-skilled, you can jump from one to the other. I'll give you an example. Quite a bit of people
Mhm.
who are managing, let's say, reception at a hotel, they also can become a customer relationship executive. They later
Yes.
can also take a sales jobs, etc., etc., right? And that
Yeah.
is where the magic of Gigin's AI algorithms comes in. We actually have developed some proprietary technology, which actually will help you not only find the job which will be near match to you or ideal match for you, but also the near match for you, right? So example, if you are doing a cashier job in a restaurant, you
Mhm.
also would be able to work a cashier job in a somewhere else, or you are eligible for an accountant job somewhere, right? So all those things actually are something that we have spent time on, and have developed the technology to give the recommendations to our talent and also to our employers, that hey, you can look at this one, because if you solve for one side of the equation, it doesn't work. You have to solve for the both side of equation, which is what we have to.
Right. Gigin AI also has a partnership with UNICEF. So, do you want to shed some light to it?
Yeah. So I have huge respect for UNICEF. When I started to interact with UNICEF, I realized that there's a common vision. If you look at our vision, we want to make billion life better. It's not something which we can do it in 1 day, 2 day. It will take like maybe a decade, right? And we are very serious about it actually. But if you look at the reach and the values and the core principles that UNICEF has, they actually have been able to spread their wings to provide a lot of education, and they have been covering a lot of tier 2, tier 3 cities, to not only make people job ready, but also are able to provide them with some of the opportunities. So our you know we they UNICEF have a platform called Yuva. Gigin and Yuva are integrated, from the backend. So which means that you come and post some job on Gigin, that also will become visible, on UNICEF or Yuva platform. So what that essentially tells us is that there are two entities, separate entity, who have common vision, common things that we're trying to solve. And by integrating the platforms, we are trying to go to the next level, where the strengths of each of the platform is able we are able to use that very well to solve for some of the things in which we can make some difference for the society. And well, like going back to what I was saying, right? So UNICEF, leadership, the actually you are leadership, not your. So you are leadership, and people who were driving that, when I met them, and I think when we started to have the interaction, my passion, I saw that they were very passionate to solve this, and we have started for some time. I think we have started to see some early successes, which are good, and I'm very optimistic that we'll be able to solve for much bigger things actually.
So, Gigin AI is available only for Indian people, or it is available for people of outside India as well?
It's a good question actually. Luckily we are also part of NASCOM startups, and at least 2 3 times we have gone outside of India to showcase Gigant. So in some of the places, specifically in UAE and US, when we were presenting our solution to various corporates, to investors, and to the government of bodies, we realized that what we are solving for has a global demand. And actually
Yeah.
have very clear ask for by some of the platforms that can you start here. Now we are very seriously exploring. We already are in process of signing up of a MOU, with some with a partner in UAE, and which we will begin very soon. And the same thing, we have in the pipeline for America as well, but that's going to take us some time. So we are actually solving things very deeply for India. And trust me, India is very complicated market, and it's a very big market. And if we're able to solve
Yeah.
for India, I think we can solve for the entire world. And this probably goes back to the internal philosophy that we have, that make it in India, take it to the world, right? So that's the thing that we are following. And I shared with you some time ago that our platform is multilingual, right? So if it is already available in 8 languages, in which you can just use Kickin, I think adding another 8 languages doesn't take a lot of work, right? Because it's all AI driven, etc., etc. So it will not take us
Right.
a lot. But in the immediate or the short term, our focus is purely India and solving for things which are for India and this thing. But very soon you will see that there would be certain through some partnerships we'll be going outside of India as well.
But that's a great move, I would say, like going global and also like having multiple languages on the platform, because especially people in the informal sector, you cannot expect them to use something which is available in
Yeah,
English,
yeah.
or maybe in that case Hindi also. We have to go regional in that.
I have lot of example during the early phases. Trust me, we made our first platform in English, and that was a blunder. We still do that. We take our platform to the user, and I took it to one of the person who actually was downloading the app, and while making the profile, he did some spelling errors. And when I told him that you have done errors, he wanted to delete the app, because the self respect and the confidence, etc., the way people connect is very high, and he doesn't want to give the impression that he doesn't know the spellings, right? And that
Yeah.
actually made me think that if we have to make sure that the excess is very very large. You have to make sure that we provide it in multiple languages. So some of the research we did, I think within English we were able to reach out to only 20 some percentage of the Indian population. We added 8 more languages, and now we provide coverage to more than I think 82% of Indian population. So it was I think it was a good early move from our side.
Right, absolutely. So, what is that important skill that every young person should learn by themselves today?
Okay. It's a question which keeps me awake all the time. See, we are working very diligently to make sure that the employment is accessible to everybody, and it is not just in for handful of white collar workforce, right? Having said that, what's happening is that AI is disrupting. Now, it doesn't mean that AI will take away all the job. It's just that AI will transform the jobs. If you rewind, let's say 20 or 30 years back, it's the same. I keep giving example of this one to quite a few people that I know of. That when the computer came, people were thinking that the computers will take their job. Computer did not take the job. It made the job better, and it made us highly efficient. The same wave is going to happen with AI, with the difference that computers takes it still took some like 10 years or so to have a complete roll down, where it was just engineers doing it, and from there it went to all the grocery shops and banks and everywhere you can think about. AI is going to be very very fast. So we I strongly feel that continuous learning is something, or adaptability is the one word, and continuous learning is are the two words that we should remember. That in the next few years things are going to continuously get disrupted. You need to continuously keep upgrading. Like in the if you look at how I'm doing, I still continuously keep upgrading myself on various aspects of knowledge. But this I think should be there with everybody in India, that when the technology is changing, how do we upgrade ourselves. I think in the last like 2 to 3 decades, in the Indian tech workforce has ruled across the globe. You start to look at any of the technology company, you will see that the best performing people would be Indian, right? So we were able to do that because we had a lot of focus on the tech education, but that actually is getting completely automated. Those disruptions are happening. So the sooner we can get to use the newer tools, which don't know if right now the academia has been able to pace up, but we need to do that where every use case of what is coming, people are able to adapt to that and become better, so that we again can continuously have the Indian workforce being visible across the globe.
Right. So, can we say, like, even if AI is changing jobs, we should not be scared. We should get excited for the future.
See, you're absolutely right. Actually, I'm very excited about the future. I know
Yeah.
that, so think about it. Like, if you wanted to write a book, you have all the ideas, you would take like maybe anything from 3 months to 7 months to write a book. You can do that in a week's time now, with the right use of technology. So it has made you so efficient now, right? And everywhere this is happening, and it's not one use case. You can make movies, you can write emails, you can do most of the stuff which you never imagined in the past, right? So it's making us more efficient now. Similar to the previous example, when the computers came, people who gotten used to the right side of it, which means they learned, they became, they started to, it became like their power, right? And people who were not, which were less actually, they were out they struggled a lot, right? It's going to be the same thing actually happening. There would be certain ambiguities, there will be some disruption in the short run, but I think after that, when things will get cleared up, on what and the technology will start to stabilize, I think there are a lot of opportunities for everybody.
Great. All right. It was really an insightful conversation, and thank you so much for joining us in today and giving us your valuable time. Thank you.
It was indeed a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.